co-host Tom Osa. Thanks for joining us today. Well, our guest today is going to be at 9 o'clock. It's Supervisor Teresa Kenny from the town of Orangetown. First of all, let's get into the weather, and this weather report is sponsored by St. Thomas Aquinas College. A heat wave continues across Rockland County with temperatures soaring into the high 90s.
Tom,
yes?
what's the hottest temperature you've ever experienced?
Well, let's get into the weather first, and then we can talk about that. But residents are urged to stay indoors during peak heat hours, stay hydrated, and check on vulnerable neighbors. Very important. Cooling centers are open, and outdoor activities should be approached with caution. Right now, we're looking at 80 degrees. Hot town summer in the city once again. Completely sunny all day. High of 92 degrees. We are under a heat advisory still. And for the rest of the week, we're going to be looking at 72 tomorrow. And then for the rest of the week after that, it's going to be completely cloudy and rainy. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 66, 80, 82, and 83, all rain all the time. Tuesday, we're going to have some thunderstorms, 82 degrees. And Wednesday is going to be partially sunny with a high of 82. The highest temperature I've ever experienced is probably 105 or 106. My co-host, Mike Kluger, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, brother.
And just to converse, right, and compare, what's the coldest temperature you've ever hit?
Probably when I was with my my ex-fiance about 20 years ago.
Negative chill factor?
A little bit, but that's okay. You know, these things happen, and everything's okay now, thankfully. But that being said, you know, I would say on the real, probably like negative 10, something like that. How about you?
Negative 55.
Whoa! Yeah. Where the heck were you?
Potsdam, New York.
Amazing.
Yes, it was very cold. And the year before that, it got down to negative 80.
Up at the SUNY over there?
Yep, at the SUNY.
Okay.
We would look at the National Weather Service and all that, and Alaska would be warmer than Potsdam.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I can't beat that.
That's pretty cold.
Yeah. Well, so Mike is our co-host typically on Wednesdays. And as I've said this several times, we are looking for more co-hosts. I'm just extending that over to you as well. Nudge, nudge, if we can get something working. But I think it's a good yin-yang between the two of us.
I agree. And, you know, there's co-hosts and then there's co-huts. We'd like to have a co-hut on the radio every
Mike
now and
co-hut, absolutely.
Right.
We're also going to have some upcoming shows in the third quarter, which we're talking about with various organizations, specifically one that we're meeting up with that wants to do something on Sunday. And we have a few people that have reached out to us from WRCR Radio, and it's a shame about WRCR. It's very unfortunate. But you know, they decided, you know, after many, many years, they sold to Red Apple Media Group. And now they're you know, in the process of transitioning the AM 1700 frequency over to them, and they happen to own AM 770 Red Apple Media Group. So up until they get back, there's no local news. Figure we'll
wait. We are the local news. North Rockland, right here in good old North Rockland, talking about all of Rockland County.
That's right. And you said it best. You know, we are basically, and we're planting the flag in the morning news, and we have a lot of people to thank for the ability to do that. We got 202 Cannabis located in Garnerville, New York, as our new sponsor. We also have Susan Bova, Coldwell Banker Realty, Regents Review, celebrating 20 years of SAT and ACT test prep, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Lauren Molino Muller. The list goes on and on. We'll talk about. But we are very thankful that we're here to be able to do this. And for all the news that matters to you most, Mike, such as the roundabout, the roundabout story.
And the graduations of 5th graders and 8th graders.
Yeah. You can visit rocklandnews.com. We do 20 to 30 stories a week on a variety of matters all across Rockland County. And here what we're doing is just kind of condensing it and explaining what happened over the last few days. So should you do the first story or should I?
This one looks sad. I'm sad. Like, why can't we all just get along, Tommy?
I really wish we could.
Because the next line on this, it starts with hate crime arrests.
Not cool.
Not cool at all.
Hate is definitely not cool. Basically, 2 19-year-old men have been arrested for luring and attacking victims that they perceived as gay using a dating app. The attacks occurred at Greg Sikorsky Children's Park. They face multiple hate crime charges and are currently out on bail. I think we're just going to keep moving along. You know, hope everything goes as good and safely as possible.
as a community, I think we need to do a better job at looking after one another.
Yeah.
And that should our parks should not be a place for predators.
Right. Well, obviously. Yeah. 100%. And, we'll follow if any more information comes out about that story, we'll certainly report it.
As my old friend Bill Murphy used to say, if you see something, say something.
Say something, gosh darn it. Yep. All right, so we're going to turn our sights over to the town of Clarkstown. By the way, the town of Clarkstown news is sponsored by Regents Review, celebrating 20 years of ACT and SAT test prep. They were also very helpful for our Rockland Music Fest, but let's get into the news here. Fireworks extravaganza is happening tonight. Clarkstown's big fireworks night is set for June 25th at Felix Festa Middle School. The festivities begin at 6:30 p.m. with Jester Jim's juggling act. Try saying that fast 3 times.
I was going to ask you if you could say that fast.
Me.
You.
Yeah, but it's coming right back to you.
Speaking of live music, the Mighty Spectrum Band before the fireworks?
Right. Mighty Spectrum
tell me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Band right before the fireworks, light up the sky is going to be at 9:30, but if you get there early, it's going to start about 7:15. Live music will probably pop in like around 7:45, and the Mighty Spectrum Band, they're pretty mighty.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You love their sound?
Yeah. I mean, they play at the Haverstraw Town Festival, the Stony Point Town Festival. They play a lot over at the Patriot Lounge, another one of our supporters.
What style of music do they play?
They play, I don't want to call it big band, but it's kind of like bringing a bit of the theatrical feel of your contemporary rock songs and bringing it into the mainstream. And they have like a huge horn section. I think there's like three or four horns.
So it's more like a mini orchestra.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Tie-dye in the park is happening Thursday, June 26th at Congers Lake Memorial Park at 6:30 p.m. And residents can bring a white item to tie-dye. I guess they'll have tie-dye professionals on site.
All right.
While enjoying summer and music fun. Also, rock and roll at Lake Nanuet. The Incidental Contact Band. I know Evan from Incidental Contact. They're playing live on July 2nd at 7 p.m. at Lake Nanuet. Teen Sound Immersion Session on July 9th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Street Community Center. Sensory Wellness Hour for teens ages 12 to 18 with light, sound, and guided mindfulness. $50 early bird price until June 30th. $50? Wait, is that for all of the sessions?
Is it some sort of therapeutic thing? What is this, Tommy? Do we need to investigate a bit more and get back to our listeners?
No, I think we're going to leave it because there's another one here. The Adult Sound Immersion Session is set for July 11th, 6 to 7 p.m., also at the Street Community Center, and that's for ages 19 and up.
It is. Reading is fundamental.
It really is. $75 fee. Go ahead.
Expected calming mix of sound and therapy, just like I was asking. Gentle stretches, take-home affirmations. So really, you're going here to be taught how to be more therapeutic to yourself, I guess.
I can't afford sound immersion. I just figured that out. What am I going to do?
You can hum in your basement.
I guess. Well, it's a little echoey in here.
I mean, it has a nice reflection.
We definitely got to put the next step in the third quarter is to put up like the soundproof walls and everything. That's going to be amazing. All right. On the real. All right. Last thing and this is actually flipping it over to the village of Suffern. A 74-year-old Suffern man was charged with public lewdness and forcible touching after an incident, in Clarkstown. That's why it's Clarkstown news.
Okay.
74-year-old dude. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that, but he's scheduled to appear in court on July 7th and such. Okay. So that's the news in Clarkstown. Hang on 1 minute because we have Supervisor Teresa Kenny from the town of Orangetown popping in shortly. Do you want to do some of we're kind of flipping it over to you.
Well, North Rockland's having their graduation day.
Mm-hmm.
North Rockland, and that's Tuesday, June 24th. Oh, yeah. They just did.
Right.
We should look up how many graduates we've had in the county. Like, I like to prop up our youth, and I would like to congratulate every kid who is moving up to the next grade or graduated from public school. We support you. I hope the colleges are embracing you guys coming to them and doing what you want to do and be yourself and
Yeah, totally.
Go be a productive member of our community.
The local colleges, St. Thomas Aquinas College actually did 300 free tickets.
And that was to their graduates, right? So they had roughly 300 graduates of, or do they have more?
I think about 300 because that was the estimate beforehand. They basically, and Stack has been very kind to us for the music festivals. And they basically, they're sponsored the event. They gave away 300 tickets, and the ticket value is like literally about $50.
Okay.
You could get a therapeutic sound immersion. You want sound immersion?
Maybe they need to come to Rockland Music Fest.
They do. I think that they should. So we got some more things in the village of Nyack. There we go to you.
Well, heat alert and summer fun. A heat advisory is in effect, as Tommy said before. Residents are reminded to stay cool and hydrated. There's a splash pad at Memorial Park that is open daily, and you should pick up a copy of the Nyack Summer Events Guide at the Village Hall or online.
Mm-hmm. Fireworks in Memorial Park on July 4th, starting at 9:15 p.m. Set up early to catch the show, launched from a barge in the Hudson.
Music on the Hudson returns on Tuesdays in July, 7 to 9 at Memorial Park. First up, Dead Meat, the Grateful Dead tribute on July 1st.
Actually, we know Dead Meat. We saw them over at Maureen's Jazz Cellar.
All right. Oh, that place is great.
Yeah, they're a pretty cool place. I got like one or two other things. I see Supervisor Ken. Oh, we got a lot of things, but Supervisor Kenny is in the waiting room. But let's just we'll go through this like really fast.
All right. Dine out for the Center for Safety and Change at Little Dean's until June 27th.
David Denby with Ross Benjamin at Big Red Books, June 24th, 6:30 p.m.
Rivertown Film, Kathy and Harry at Nyack Center, June 25th at 8 p.m.
Farmers Market, June 26th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Fresh Market lot.
Art of Iridiology.
Yeah, be careful with that one, right?
June 26th, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Modern Druid.
The Modern Druid.
Morgana, I know her really, really well.
It sounds like somebody from Lord of the Rings that is going to a tuxedo party.
It's cooler than that.
Really?
Okay. The Modern Druid is one of the coolest stores I've ever been to.
I defer to you on that. So Ecstatic Dance, June 27th, 5:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Angel Nyack.
Rockland Pride Tea Dance, June 29th, 12 to 4 p.m. at the Hotel Nyack.
How do you get tea to dance?
You have to have the sound therapy.
Oh, yeah, you got to get the sound immersion. Got it. All right. And the village board meeting for the village of Nyack is on June 26th, 7:30 p.m. at Village Hall. As we noted about 2 weeks ago, there was that horrible fire that happened in two buildings. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of updates about what's happened in the past several weeks over there. And I think that the fundraising is almost up to $100,000 for the 13 families that were affected. Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to bring Supervisor Teresa Kenny into the room. I'm just going to introduce her. Hang on one moment. And we have with us today Supervisor Teresa Kenny from the town of Orangetown. Supervisor, we're here with my co-host Mike Kluger, who you haven't met yet, but we are excited to have you on the show once again. Thank you for joining us on Rockland's News this morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we were just gabbing about all the events that are happening. We covered the town of Clarkstown, Haverstraw. We got the fireworks and everything that's happening. Anything happening around Orangetown? I imagine there's a decent amount of activities.
Oh, there's always things happening around Orangetown. Well, we do also have a 4th of July fireworks, which is always a great event. They just actually, the entity that's hosting it was there last night. And they said they're having a band this year, the Jersey Boys, which they said is they're changing it up from past years. So it's actually on the 4th of July. It's always a great night. It starts at 6 o'clock. Again, there's music, and then there'll be a fireworks display. So it's always really something good to attend. And then, of course, we have our regular Rock the Park summer concert series that our Parks Department puts on, which is always a great thing. So that's starts on July 11th, and it's at Veterans Memorial Park. It's every Friday night at 7:45. So they have a whole great lineup of bands that are playing, and you can find it on our website, on the town's website, or on Parks and Rec, posted on their social media page. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, and I tended to note this over the years, and I came to Rockland in '82. Mike, when you've been in Rockland all your life?
I have. born in Manhattan, but brought home right here to Haverstraw.
Yeah. So I wasn't even aware of this obviously early on, but the towns have really, and I think it starts with the band shell that each town has, pretty much lock, stock, and barrel right now in each town. And that is such a central point for all of these musical events that happen. Now, when you first became supervisor, did you find that there were as many events then as there are now? I mean, you're in office now about 4 years or 6 years. I forget exactly.
At the end of this year, I'll be 6.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So did your administration thus far, there been a higher focus on events, or what's just kind of like bring?
I would say our Parks and Recreation has always done a great job, and I know that previous supervisors have always been very supportive of it. So I know we've had our Rock the Park for quite some time. I know we do movie night. We've done for quite some time. I think the addition is that my office has kind of stepped up to kind of throw in different kind of events. For example, we did we did a fundraiser for people with ALS. We did a bucket challenge. We used our water, which again was new. I like to take credit for our splash pad. I like to take credit for it. So, people basically, we raised a lot of money for ALS on that. We're looking to do something there again to raise money for our Penguin Plunge, which is a local group that,
Yes.
We all have them, but they raise money for children who, for families that they have. So we're going to do another fundraiser there. We're looking to do a food truck festival. Like I come up with these ideas, or my staff comes up, and then we work with our Parks and Rec and other departments to see that they happen. So they've always had a great lineup, always very proactive with that. But I think we're just sprinkling some other, new events.
Yeah, absolutely. And has there been any adjustment of the schedule, especially over the last few days with the heat wave? I'm sure that changed at least some traffic patterns and some movements from.
Well, I can tell you our splash pad has been going strong. It is really fun to go by and watch, the kids out there, and I think some of the parents chasing them just so they could get into the water. But one of the things we are thinking about, we have to work it out with our Parks Department. We have the dog park, and so on really hot days, for obvious reasons, it's very, very quiet. So we are thinking of trying to come up with something where we do something, if my head of my Parks Department doesn't completely have a heart attack, is to do something with the dogs in the splash pad. I thought that would be a lot of fun. So that's one of the other crazy ideas. They start as crazy ideas and then they come together somewhat more normal. But we were just talking about it the other day about it, and then when the heat wave hit, it was like, this is perfect, and obviously the kids would love it, but we don't want to make it a regular habit. We're very big about the dogs are supposed to be just in the dog park area. They're not supposed to be roaming the park, so we don't want to encourage too much of them leaving the dog park area. But we thought that would be something that's fun for people and dogs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A fun bring your pet to play day.
Yes, exactly. As a dog owner and dog lover, you know what? I think it'd be a lot of fun. My dog happens to not really like water, so I don't know how that would go. But but we'd see.
What kind of a dog do you have?
A rescue.
Yeah, we have one too. Well, not a rescue, but an adoption. Yeah.
Yeah, ours is a rescue that we got from Rescue Group, and they told us it was. I laughed because they told us it was one kind of dog. They said it was part shepherd and this whatever. And when I took it to the vet, I'm like, oh, what kind of dog you think it is? And they said, well, what did they tell you? And I told them, and their face said everything. But okay, if that's what you want to believe. So she's a mix. She's a mix of a bunch of. But she's great. She's couldn't ask for a better dog.
You can actually. Many years ago, the last time I had a dog, my partner got me a doggy DNA test.
Yes.
Did a little swab in their mouth, put it in a plastic bag, sent it away, and they gave you this whole certificate of what the genetic of your dog was and a personality profile. And my dog was 12 years old when I gave him the test.
Wow.
And it was like they were spying on my dog. Like the whole thing was crazy. I was like, all right, so he's Rottweiler and German Shepherd and some Husky, and he looked like a Great Dane.
Interesting.
But the personality.
And it's funny you say that because my daughter said that to me. She goes, Ma, we can do the dog's DNA. And I said, well, why would I possibly need to know what the Here's a what
It was just a fun thing. I think
Yeah,
I had gotten it as a Father's Day gift, as a know what your dog is kind of thing.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. It
Yeah.
was.
No, I especially I didn't know that they tell you about the personality. It'd be fun to see how close they get. But yeah, they probably can tell from the different breeds what their personality would be.
I'll tell you
Well,
one
I can
thing
tell you
that-
one thing. She's
Oh,
lazy,
please.
but she's a lazy dog. I know that. They would have to definitely come back because, I've had dogs my whole life, and this dog just doesn't like to really exert herself too much. But
Yeah. I have our dog. He's 7 years old now, and especially during this heat wave, he has just been lazing out. He's like,
Yeah.
nope, I want nothing to do with walking around the block. I'm very happy on this hardwood floor.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know if you've seen, they've been putting out warnings about people for their dogs. And I just saw this
Yes.
morning, a dog was picked up in Garnerville or somewhere, a dog that had suffered heat exhaustion. And so someone took it to the veterinarian in Nanuet or whatever, and they were looking for its owner. So yeah, you gotta watch your dogs. You can't leave them out there for protected
Absolutely.
protracted amount of time. Yeah, no, exactly.
County with heart, though. Fellow residents just hopping in and helping out where they can. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And I will say, when we put in our doggy park, we made sure to put in a little doggy fountain, so we have water for our doggies at our dog park.
Are there any plans for a cat splash pad?
That would be hysterical. I want lots of camera angles. If we're doing this, we need, because the internet is all about cat videos.
I know, and the AI is making it just so funny. They were showing a whole thing on with them animals. It was everything: cats, dogs, jumping, doing dives off of a diving board into a pool, and they were doing cats and everything. And it's just very funny to watch. But there's definitely no plans for that in the short term. But you know what? We could put it on the long list. But I will tell you what, there is some plans for. Boulder Stadium. Oh, sorry, Clover Stadium.
I forget about that too.
I know. It's very hard.
So it's Clover Stadium. Yeah.
Clover Stadium. I want to give due where it's due. We have the different towns have been doing nights up there. So we do Orangetown night, and it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's Wednesday, August 27th. It's supposed to be everything Orangetown. We have people from the town sing the national anthem. We have the kids, the boys and girls from the Little League and from the Boy Scouts, and and it's just they get to march on the field, and it's been a huge success. People really do enjoy it, and we get some free tickets, and so anyway, so it's always a lot of fun. So
and the tickets are available at Town Hall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know if we have them yet, but yes, they will be available at Town Hall. And we always offer them out to all the employees. We usually get a good showing from the the employees in the town. So yeah, and I did throw out the first pitch, or one of the pitches. I know they do multiple first pitches a couple of years, but then I finally said, maybe I'll donate my my spot to somebody else, to give somebody else. I mean, how many times do you need to do it? So I'll have to see who wants to throw out the first pitch on my
That's actually my whole rationale for being the first person to host the morning show, and then turn it over to guys like Mike,
me,
that can pitch better than I can when we're on the air. So it's a very smart strategy, Supervisor.
Well, actually, I did it twice, and both times I had really decent pitches, right? Really good. I think the guy that caught it was surprised. So I figured go out on a high note.
And there's a certain physics to it. It's like a balancing act on one leg. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. So I last year I think Assemblyman John McGowan did it on my behalf. So I'll find somebody who wants to do it this year too.
That's cool.
Well, listeners, if you are in the town of Orangetown and you want to throw out the first pitch, maybe you should email your superintendent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned some community organizations, and I like to push forward that we should be a better community here in Rockland. What are some of the community organizations that you would recommend people joining if they want to be more active in their local?
Well, you mean more active in the civic, engagement with the town, or just
in general? If you wanted to be a more active citizen in your locality, what you mentioned the Boy Scouts, you mentioned the Girl Scouts.
Yeah,
we've talked about the fire departments and
volunteers
in general.
We have so many. We have the Lions. We have the Blowout Lions. We have. I mean, there's so many organizations. We also have, like, individually within the different hamlet areas. Like we have the Palisades Civic Association. I think wherever you are in the town, there is some organization or more that is a place to, to get involved either in your particular area, like and they're very active with the town, like the Palisades Civic Association. They host, candidate nights, meet and greets, they're very proactive. So, and, I think if you look around the town, in Tappan, the Tappan Fire Department's always very proactive with, again, we do the cleanup with them. We have a joint cleanup. We do the Great American Cleanup. And the first year we did it, we had one and they had one, and we found we were competing for the same people. So we joined forces and we have one big cleanup. And I mean, I think anywhere you go in the town, you can find some organization that's very active and cooperative with the town. We have great relationships with our not-for-profits and our volunteers, and we work great with them. So, and I would be remiss not to say that a lot of the volunteers are looking for people, looking for help. I know the Spark Hill Fire Department's very, they really are trying to get the word out that they need volunteers. And
good to know.
Yeah, no, it's tough because the younger people, they're leaving the town and they're leaving the county because it's so expensive, and we need them here. So it's something we have to work on.
Oh yeah, and it's funny that you say that because we were in Tuxedo Village. That's actually over in Orange County, but Tuxedo, and they had a music festival on Saturday. They had the Georgia Five band. I think that Orangetown may have hosted them before, but they were amazing. But what someone told me afterwards was that they had half of the attendance that they had from the year before. And they attributed it a lot to that the kids are graduating, and it's kind of like changing of the guard sort of thing, where then the next generation, they start to be aware of these local events. And I've always found, I mean, I go back in the 80s and 90s, it's like the college students, the high school students, they finish, and then you have a large percentage of them that are obviously going to go out and explore the world. It'd be great if we had some more, of our next generation here building Rockland. That's what my hope is, I think.
Yeah.
And to go with that, we are flooded with information. So part of the issue, I think folks are inundated and overstimulated to the point where we need to be able to provide for them more concise lists. Like all of these organizations that you had mentioned, is there a place where in the Orangetown government website?
Yeah, of course.
Here are the organizations that are on the rolls that need volunteers or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's perfect timing because we are redoing our website as we speak because it was really horrible, and for multiple reasons. There's new rules about making them, ADA compatible and things like that.
And .gov, they have to everything. They have
right,
.gov now, right?
So I mean, we really needed to do it. So and that's something we'll look at. I mean, I do know we have put resources, like, so for people who need maybe a food pantry or something like that, but I don't know if we have necessarily volunteer groups. Again, a lot of them, I have a weekly newsletter, which I'm sure you both read diligently.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it's on news right now. And
they all reach out to me regularly and say, look, we have this event, can you put it in? And everywhere, including the villages, and it, there's over 6,000 people that get that newsletter, so we're reaching pretty wide.
Awesome.
So anyway, but yeah, we do, like I said, we do work, but it would be nice to have a one location, because I do get emails regularly about like people that are being, their landlord selling and they need to find an apartment. Where can they go? And I will reach out to even private entities that I know and try to get, make contacts for them. But maybe if there was like a comprehensive list, here it is, just, refer them to the list. So thank you for that idea.
Yeah.
I'm always welcome new ideas.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. You do an amazing job over there. You also have one of my favorite hidden gems in the county, in Orangeburg, is the Camp Shanks Memorial. We do some work on a different note, digital, with Hauser Brothers, which is also in your neck of the woods.
Right.
So Timmy and his dad, they're very actively involved in making sure that people commemorate what we sacrificed during World War II. And Camp Shanks is a big part of that history, in my opinion, for Rockland County. So it's beautiful gem over there.
Yeah, no, it is. We have two museums. We have the Camp Shanks Museum, and we have the Orangetown Museum. Actually, three, but one is not really open on an open base. But I was surprised to learn that we were the only one with a museum, and we have two of them.
Yep.
So they put on different events at the museum. There's always hit about history and things like that. So they're little hidden gems, and we try to tell people about them. The schools do take trips there and things like that. But yeah, a lot of people still don't know about it. But the people who do know about it rave about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting thing, the richness of history and the amount of sites that we have up and down the Hudson Valley and in Rockland County. My former in-laws were not from around here, and they were amazed at all of the history that was here. My father-in-law was from Chicago. He doesn't have all of the Rev War stuff, all of the War of 1812, and all of that.
All of them, Revolutionary, all of it.
All
Yeah,
of that
absolutely.
is so rich in specifically Rockland County. We have all of these camps and sites, and Washington walked through here, there, and everywhere, and slept all over Rockland County.
Yep.
Most folk.
We had some hangings down by the river over here.
Exactly.
Benedict Arnold. Well, he got away, but his cohort.
But the fact that we have this history here, and I think that we grow up, those of us in Rockland who grew up here, we take that all for granted. His eyes were wide, and I'm like, I've been seeing this every day since I've been going to school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that I think we need to be more aware of how cool the history is in this place, because elsewhere in this country, it is not like that.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah, growing up, we used to go up to the Stony Point battlefield.
Yeah,
remember well. Yeah.
Yep. Love that place.
Yeah.
Just bringing up the website for Orangetown. So orangetown.com right now, but that's switching over. I know that you're in the process.
Yes, it will be.
It's not that bad. I'm on the website right now. It looks good.
It's. Let me put it this way. It's better than it was when I took office.
Yeah. You know what I noticed is that, and different administrations and such over the course of time, but I'd say, 2 or 3 administrations, because we do web, by the way, you're already with a different web company, not like that, but like I noticed like over the course of time, because we did stuff with Stony Point and Town of Haverstraw, it's about every three cycles. Every 3 cycles or so, there seems to be a technology upgrade on the web and off. But encouraging that you're continuing to, because, and I'm sure you know this, I'm preaching to the choir. If it's not up to snuff, you're going to get the phone calls, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
well, you want the positive phone calls.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it was we talked about it since I came in. I was really frustrated with that whole website.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of just an ad hoc people were putting stuff on. There was no kind of, going through a central place. And so it was too much, it was whatever. But it was a big expense. And as you pointed out, we had a particular, host or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Challenge, I know.
Speaking like a real not technical person, but then the state came out with new requirements about it has to be, for the visually impaired and blah, blah, blah. So we kind of were pushed to the point where I'm like, okay, great. Now we got to go to .org, like everything you said. So we did get that extra push. And we're working on it. Actually, my office is working with RIT, and they come in and we review different things and look at the, whatever. So it's in the works, and it will hopefully be a much more user-friendly site when it's done.
Definitely helpful with a strong IT department. I remember my colleague from North Rockland High School, Justin Jeffs, who's now part of the county of Rockland, and he holds it down on the managed services component for years. So definitely helpful when you have a strong IT department. Any other things going on in the near or the long term?
It's a little long term, but I can tell you we are gearing up for the 250th year anniversary of our country, which of course is next year. So we are working with our local fire departments, whatever we're trying to plan a big parade and a big celebration. And we have a committee formed, and we are accepting volunteers if anybody is a particular historic buff. We're working with, again, our museum. They want to do some kind of reenactments down in Japan. We're working with the, the local church down there. So it's an all hands on, and it is going to be a big event. So again, a little early for that, but
well, you know what? No, you're thinking ahead. I mean, that's probably job number one, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Well, and turning the lens reverse, you've been in your seat for 6 years. What are you most proud about from your town that you have seen the town do, that you were involved with, and what are you most disappointed in that you would like to see do better?
I like how you worded that.
So it's hard, it's hard because you're sometimes you'd feel like a mother and you don't want to pick a favorite child or anything like that. But I think I'm most proud of the revitalization of our Veterans Park area. And I say that because we put in, since I came in, we put in an all-inclusive playground, which is exactly what it's described as, for children of all abilities. And when we started the planning on it, my children are adults. And so they were asking me questions, and I said, well, what do I know about playgrounds? So I brought in someone from my staff and a local mom who has a child who is disabled. And the two of them took on this project. And because it was so, personal, I mean, they went to see things, whatever, everything at our playground was thought down to the last, color, whatever. And it came out great. And then it was like, okay, the park was really, it kind of lost its luster. So in planning that, I had come upon the splash pad. And I said, that's what we need. We don't have any pools. So then that came in. Then I did the dog park because we didn't have a dog park. And so veterans, but we also then did pickleball courts. So Veterans Park, which is really the town's main park, is just taken on a whole new life. I mean, it's just like a whole new place to go to, whatever. And it's something we could be proud of. Which again, it's hard to say. We also built a new town hall, which is something else we needed desperately. So yeah, it's kind of hard when you're looking at everything and picking a best, but definitely what I wish I could have done more of, I guess is what I'll say, is our housing issue. And
oh yeah, well that is,
it's a bit of a balancing act, a bit of a battle at times, because I have a town board that is coming around, but historically the town has been we're single family home communities. And so when you mentioned multifamily, when you mentioned apartments or condos or whatever, there was always a very negative response. And so I've been beating the drum for 5.5 years. And I actually do joke with some of my town board members, because when they say something that's finally coming around, I say, wow, it only took me 5.5 years.
Yeah.
But they're finally recognizing the need. And
I know that feeling very well. It requires, as Guns N' Roses would say, just a little patience.
Yeah. So I think I've made progress, but we have a long way to go. We do have a couple of exciting multifamily projects that are in the very initial stages. One I think I've talked about before, so it's not any secret, is the Blue Hill Plaza. Are the two large
the
office
two
buildings,
office complexes.
So the smaller of the two buildings, we have been in conversations with the owners about making that residential. So it took a little step back because they were working with a particular person that was kind of spearheading it, and he suddenly passed away. So it kind of took a step back, but now they have regrouped, and I'm actually having a meeting next week with them about it. So again, the beauty of that is you're not cutting down trees. You're not dealing with the turtles or the bats or any of the things that people get upset about when you start cutting down wood. So it's there. We wanted to see it successful. The actual building itself has a hairdresser, a daycare, a restaurant, a gym, whatever. So we want to see those businesses succeed. So, I think it could be a really, really great addition to Orangetown residential, housing.
I've used that gym. They have a racquetball court there as well.
I actually take a boot camp there 2 mornings a week. So I'm there, fairly regularly. So, so that's just, that's one. And I think repurposing buildings is great for that very purpose. You're not cutting down trees. You're not dealing with all that stuff. They have plenty of parking.
Yep.
It seemed like a no-brainer. And actually, I will say my town board, from the minute they heard it, was pretty accepting of that.
And several parks built in right around it.
Yeah.
Lots of green space.
So now the next kind of stage is what I'm going to tip my toes back in, is to the I'm going to say the TOD, but that's like a bad word around here. The transfer development,
Yep.
Clarkson, everybody's doing it. My predecessor had started the process. It kind of imploded. It got too much too soon, and then he stepped out, and so it kind of, I don't want to say, but it's
I
time
hear you.
I'm reviving it. I'm renaming it. I'm remarketing it.
Because
I'm going to get it back
around here, right?
So I will try to get that back on the town board. I've talked to them about it. Their whole thing is the scope of it got very large. So it was really going really far around the train station. They want to keep it more, close to the train station. So I'll reduce the scope of it and bring it back to something they can live with, and we'll start the process. So we have some, some exciting things going on.
It's almost like you have to go out there, like you mentioned earlier on, with sitting down with the team. And I don't want to call it the zany ideas, but the ideas that kind of push into the creative, and then a little bit of dialing back, and then the mathematics of it. And
one of the biggest problems I find is that the same people come to the town board meetings every week, and 9 times out of 10, they're all the people that want to say no to everything. And it's because our young people are too busy working, raising families, and they don't have time to come in. And so I've already talked to quite a few of them, local, and by young, I mean, in their 30s, but
well, you're right there, so don't even worry about
20s, 30s, even 40s for that matter, to come in and support these ideas and to hear their voices. And I've been told that they will when the time comes, but and I'm not insulting anybody who's in their 60s, because I am 60 now, but you can't be the same 60 and 70-year-old people coming in and saying, no, we don't want our town as perfect, don't change, because that's
my next thing I want to say is, what is your secret if that is the actual age? But
thank you. You're too good.
So the old charmer.
No. I'm very, I'll tell you, and generation, past you, supervisor. So my mom comes over the other day, and she takes care of people that are sometimes in their 90s, local assisted living homes and everything like that. So she's talking with one of the people there, and my mom is she's in 70s, 80s, I'll say it like that. And the woman said, I can't believe that this person was around, and she's like 75, and she doesn't know what she's doing, so I'm probably going to fire her. And my mom comes to me, she goes, what does that mean about me? And I said to her, I says, that's a compliment. Just don't tell her what your age is.
Exactly.
Knows, right?
Well, I will tell you, my mom is 88, but she looks great. She drives. She's still very active, whatever. And up until literally a couple of years ago, literally like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, she was delivering Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
And she would make comments to me about feeling bad about these old people. They're there by themselves. And she was like 80 years old. I'm like, but then you got to keep your mind young. That's good that,
Absolutely.
You make yourself that, whatever.
And that is a labor of love that your mom has been doing, or, even that Meals on Wheels Rockland was like the first charity, it was first Friday at the Catholic school up here, and they'd haul us into the van and be like, all right, delivering meals. But that was my first exposure to like charitable efforts. And Meals on Wheels is actually celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. Yeah.
It is something I think everybody should volunteer for it, if only a couple of times, just to see what sometimes you wouldn't see, like when you go to a house and there's a lot of our seniors are living by themselves. You don't realize how many there are until you're delivering them food. In one of the houses, now they bring dog food. You could bring pet food. So we, because they're afraid that they would spend the money on the dogs and not themselves. And it's a little eye opening, because you just have an image of, what our community looks like, and you just see a different aspect of it. So I think it's something everybody should do, even if they just do it a couple times.
I think going back to the community activism part, joining your community and getting out from your screens, whether it be your phone or computer, TV, whatever it is important to just be involved in your local everything.
Yeah, government and volunteerism, absolutely.
And to know what's going on and to be able to be helpful, because some people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And if you're out there talking with others, that's the only way you're going to find out the actual real information.
This is the truth.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's one of the reasons I started the newsletter, was so many people would say like, I didn't know about this or I didn't know about that.
Right,
And,
right.
we can't knock on everybody's door and we can't send mailers for everything that goes on. So I say, we have this newsletter we put on social media. You don't have to read the whole thing, but the top box that we put on there has every public hearing coming up, kind of whatever. So when people say I don't know, I'm like, well, then it's on you. Like we've done everything we can. We put it on social media, we put it on our website, we put it, whatever. And unless there's a legal requirement, you live within a certain distance, we can't be mailing for everything.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Right. People should listen to our news program and they'll find out where to go.
Well, I wasn't trying to self-promote, but
I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. There's no shortage of information out there nowadays. And again, I get it. Some seniors may not be on social media and things like that, but my newsletter can come via an email. So
yeah, exactly.
So we try, and I go visit the senior clubs. We have a senior clubs throughout the town, and I'll go and I'll update them. I will tell you, the seniors at the senior clubs are very informed. I don't know what
they are.
They speak to each other, whatever the case may be, but they're very informed. So yeah, I mean, we do what we can on outreach, but at some point it becomes on the person or the resident to make a little bit of effort to find out what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Supervisor, and we planned for usually like 10, 15 minutes. You've been very generous with your time. And quite frankly, as I always say, hop back on the show anytime. But we appreciate your time today because we went like 3 times what we allotted for. And I'm very thankful for that.
Oh, well, my pleasure.
Yeah. So
very informative. And we look forward to working with you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope everyone stay cool. Watch the temperatures. Take care of your doggies. Check on your neighbors. All that other good stuff.
That's right. One more hot town summer in the city today, and then we'll be back to normal temperatures. Supervisor for the town of Orange Town, Teresa Kenny, thank you for being on Rockland News this morning.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay, and we are going to end there. Let me just bring up the happy, happy, joy, joy music. But I am going to thank all of our sponsors for this one. Actually, Mike, you want to take this over, brother?
Dana Pest Control, Lauren Molino Mueller, Howard Hanna Rand Realty, Kobe Sushi, Sparkling Clean Homes, Patriot Lounge, St. Thomas Aquinas College, FZ Perfection, Vanchetto Restaurant, Outsource My IT, Clean Space Maintenance and Management Company, North Rockland Chiropractic, Stony Point Pancake Factory, Fiesta Acapulco, Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy, and last but never least, Rockland Music Fest.
September 27th over at Clover Stadium. Proceeds to Meals on Wheels Rockland celebrating their 50th anniversary. We'll see you once again for AM Rockland tomorrow morning. On behalf of Tom Osa
and Mike Luger,
we'll catch you next time.
Be well. Stay cool.
Bam!